All right. New England Food Show, Tuesday, day 3. Make some noise at the center stage. We have a big student crowd over here. Let's have the students make some noise. Woo! How about our crowd over here? Oh, the students crushed you guys. Come on. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our culinary keynote on day 3. He is a cultural icon in Massachusetts, a restaurant king. He is always reinventing himself, and he's on the cutting edge of so many things in the restaurant industry. He was so involved in allergen and allergen awareness 15 years ago in Massachusetts. He's a philanthropic legend, raising money for all kinds of charities. He has reinvented vegetables. His new culinary venture, MingsBings, are going to be available in almost every store that you can be at. We are so excited to welcome him here today. Massachusetts is the home to restaurant legends, and he truly is one. It's my distinct pleasure to welcome to the stage Iron Chef Ming Tsai.
Thank you. All right, good morning, everyone. Anyone hungry? All right, I'm going to do 2 really simple demos. For those that know me, I've always said you are what you eat, right? Is this too loud, guys? No, it's all right? All right. You are what you eat, right? So if you eat double cheeseburgers with bacon every day, you're going to be a double cheeseburger with bacon, right? There's no secret. I don't diet. There's actually not even a Chinese word for diet, right? I don't know if you know that. In Chinese, there is no no. There's no yes and no no. You have to speak in complete sentences. Are you hungry? I'm hungry. I'm not hungry. You can't be like, do you want to eat this? Yes, no. So Chinese promotes conversation, I guess. My point about food, though, is eat smartly for things you want to eat. There's all these amazing diets out there, and they do it for 3 months, and then you lose X weight, and then you take off the diet, and then all the weight comes back. So you have to do something sustainable. I learned a great trick from Mark Bittman, who's a great New York Times writer. He eats vegetarian till dinner. It's not that hard, right? And then eats anything he wants for dinner. Think about that. We have between sweet greens and things and just vegetables and obviously lower carbs if you can, because carbs are sugar. Sugar's the real evil, right? So just think about that. It's super easy to eat vegetarian. And I'm going to show you 2 vegetarian dishes. One is so simple using, these are rice noodles. This is called also flat noodles. This is what you use to make pad thai. There's also mung bean and thinner rice noodles called vermicelli. And we're also going to fire up these things. These are called MingsBings, all right? So I'll get them in the air fryer. If you get an air fryer, if you don't have an air fryer, get one, right? I'm an Iron Chef. I use an air fryer. I'm not embarrassed. They work great. So from frozen with Bings, guys, you just turn it on high, 15 minutes. They're done. Gluten-free, brown rice paper, filled with vegan deliciousness. These are the cheeseburger Bings. We're going to sample you guys on some. It's made with a GMO-free soybean called Before the Butcher, Violife cheese from coconut fat, coconut milk, and then we chef it up. We add caramelized onions and spices and just make it delicious. So that's what a MingsBing is. We'll come back to that in 15 minutes. So the rice noodle stir fry, guys. Boiling water. This is about a full pound, so it usually comes in 2 pieces. So I'm going to just take half of it out here. All right. Once the water's boiling, you can just let it sit in there. Bring it back to simmer, turn it off. It'll be ready in about 7-10 minutes, all right? You don't have to, it's not like, dry pasta, but they have to boil to al dente. You can already see it's already softened up. So as soon as it comes back to simmer, you can just let it sit here, drain it out, it's good to go. All right, we'll let that go for a sec. All right, we're gonna do a little veg prep. In almost every classic Chinese stir fry, there's 3 ingredients. And this is how my house smelled almost every dinner and lunchtime. Garlic, ginger, scallions, right? The art of Chinese cooking is you actually flavor the oil with garlic, ginger, scallions. Now this great oil then cooks your meat, your veg, and it just it envelops everything in the wok, all right? At home, do I buy peeled garlic cloves? Absolutely, right? I mean, I do. Are ones not peeled in the cloves the best? Actually, they are, because there are no bruises to them. I think they retain a stronger flavor when they're fresh like this, right? I need like 5 or 6 cloves, something like that. I picked the big cloves because it's just easier, right? Now, what I like to do is there's the hard end that I like to cut off. You guys can see this, right, on the screen? Get tighter in there, Houston, will you? Can you get tighter? Yes? No? You zoom in? Yeah? Can you zoom in, do? Is he on break? There he is. Right, so you have the end, right? This is the hard end. You guys see that? That's the part you want to take off. I then like to clear my board of all this, we call it the gift wrap of the garlic. It's not bad for you. It's just a really bad mouthfeel, right? This kind of paper. Then with the knife, you then smash it, right? And once you smash it, if you grab the other end, the whole clove comes out. See that? So that's why you want to take that end off, and then you can grab the other end, and the clove comes off. And if you're here, you can really smell the garlic, right? Unlike those jars of garlic that don't taste as good. Please don't ever buy the minced garlic in the oil and water. No. I actually probably rather use natural garlic powder than the jar stuff. The jar stuff is just, I just don't like it. It has an off taste. All right, so that's a lot of garlic right there, right, guys? Get the white stuff out. So here we're just going to do just a general mince, right? You guys all know how to hold a knife, right? 2 fingers holds a knife, technically a thumb and a finger, right? You could do all the slicing all day long, not even use these other 3 fingers. But the person upstairs gave these 3 to come along for the ride, so you bring them around the grip. But this is the grip. And you're never holding it like this. For anyone that plays golf or baseball, you can't hit anything if you're like this. You have to be relaxed. Loosen the hand, right? So let the knife do the work. And just get through it like this, right? You don't have to be a hero. But here I'm really going for good mince. So I like to go across it 3 or 4 times one way, and then I like to come across it this way, right? And you can always keep the tip down and go like that, right? And then when you get better at it, you can, in slow motion, you can go like this and then come back, right? And then you get double, so you can go. So then it rocks back and forth. So now you're getting twice the cutting by going back and forth, all right? And that just takes practice, right? That's all it is. The key here is you want all the garlic about the same size. If you have a piece too small, that will burn the stir fry. A piece too big, it'll be a little raw to the mouth. That's no good either, all right? So here we have our garlic. Ginger. I think the best flavor in the world. Works great for desserts, works great for savory, works great for cocktails, it works great for ailments. If you're nauseous, if you're pregnant because you're nauseous, if you have a sore throat, we drink ginger tea. I think everyone should have ginger in the household. Always wash everything, right? Everything on this stage has been washed because things come dirty. This came from either China or Mexico or somewhere. Not that the countries are dirty, it just came from 2, 3, 5, 7,000 miles away. So, if you're gonna eat the ginger, take the back of a knife and peel it, right? If you have kids that wanna help you, use a spoon. A spoon is a really great tool to peel ginger. You can get in the nooks and crannies, and you cannot cut yourself with a spoon, right? So with a kid, it's great, right? But you can really get in there, even better than a knife. All right? Get all that skin off. Again, a little bit of skin is not going to hurt you. Give it up to Christine Canlis, guys. This is my executive chef. She's been with me 10 years. Without Christine, none of us would be anywhere. I can tell you that. All right, so take all that skin off. So ginger is very striated, meaning there's all the fibers go one way. So what you have to do is do kind of like long, thin pieces, as thin as you can go, right? And the reason I want it thin as it go, because I'm going to make what's called julienne, which means I'm going to cut it a second time. And look, when you're like here, don't go fancy and try to take your tips off. You can then take this and put it on its side and then go at it again, right? It's really hard the last bit. That's with onions, that's with anything. So now I have this flat. Now I'm going to cut across it one more time, and now you have batons or julienne. super thin. We all have food processor. You have the slicing blade. You have the, none of that works with ginger. You end up getting a ginger mess. And if you're lazy and you want real fresh ginger flavor, you can take ginger, wash it, cut it into big hunks, blend it in a blender, and then strain that awesome ginger juice out, and you can add that if you want just straight ginger flavor. I like the little crunch and bite. So now you turn it 45 degrees there, guys, right? And you come across one more time, and now you have minced ginger, all right? And it's like this, right? And here, since it's all the same size. This is a lot of garlic ginger, which I like, because you have that much, you can really flavor what's going on. All right, so here, these noodles, nice and soft. We can drain them out like that. All right, so now we have these noodles. Hey, Stacey, do me a favor. Take these, let's just rinse them in cold water. Thank you. Okay, take this too, in case you need this.
You want these soap too?
Maybe. That may be too much. Thank you. All right. Bell peppers. My favorite veg to prep. You've all probably seen this. Again, make sure they're washed. I'm going for like little dice. I like to take both ends off. You can still use these, right? We'll get back to those in a second. But to deseed it, put your board, your knife right flat on the board and just roll your bell pepper, right? Like that. And that's the trash, okay? So that's how you get bell pepper. So we'll do it again. I like yellow as well. I like to pick nice round square bell peppers because otherwise this trick doesn't work as well. But I've been called out on this. This is just as good. This is the end. It doesn't taste any worse or any better. Just take out the core. And here, again, we're going for dice. So I'm going to do like, what is that, a 1/2 inch julienne, right? So keep everything kind of in the same line. And then this I can turn and keep a 1/2 inch dice. Again, the art of stir frying is you want everything about the same size. Things that take longer to cook, you want them bigger. Things that take less to cook, a little bit smaller. So here, I'll just stack these bell peppers, right? Long, big julienne like that. Come back a second time. All right. And then with this, same thing. Like this. And then come back. And then the last bit of prep is we have some scallions and zucchini. Again, a food processor can't really do bell peppers that well, that I've seen. Zucchini, you can use a food processor, right? You could do julienne, you could do dice with the blade. But I want this to be super easy to eat, and I want pieces that are inside with the noodles. So what I'm gonna do instead, I'll take one piece off so then the zucchini can be flat and doesn't move, because otherwise sometimes it's hard. So now I'm gonna do some really thick slices. That's what, 1/3 of an inch slice like that, okay? Again, take your time when it's the last one, no heroes. All these knives are sharp. And then you usually have 2 stacks because you can't stack obviously the round side. And we'll just do 2 slices this way. All right. And then we have about the same size zucchini as we do the bell peppers. All right. Like that. Last but not least, we're going to make a little kind of stir-fry sauce. So, we're going to take honey. Honey is good because it's sweet. Is it better for you than white sugar? It's for glucose, it's the same amount of sugar, right? But if it's local honey, which this is, if you have allergies, that's better, right? For those that have allergies, right, you want to eat local honey. And I think, and there at least are some antioxidant and healthy qualities to honey that sugar doesn't have. And for me, I just like the flavor. I like the the caramely flavor, right? And I think, I mean, we all know we need bees, right? I don't work for Kikkoman, but they make a great soy sauce, gluten-free, also called tamari. Read your labels, guys. Some tamaris will still have gluten, so just make sure to read your labels. All right, so a little bit of tamari. Mix this with the honey. So now we have sweet, and then we have salty. Now we need to add some heat. So, la jiao jiang in Chinese, probably one of my favorites. 1 is hot, 2 is really hot. So we're gonna go 2. So now we have a pretty nice balance. We have sweet, we have spicy, and we have salty, right? Soy sauce and tamari has great umami. Umami is that fifth taste sensation. You guys have all heard of that depthness of flavor. When you eat something like, oh, it lingers in your throat, that's umami. You want that. Parmesan cheese, caviar, uni, nori, all, soy sauce, all have naturally occurring umami. There's also something called kokumi. Has anyone heard of kokumi? Kokumi, believe it or not, is the, whoo, that's spicy. Kokumi is the sixth taste sensation the Japanese discovered recently. Thank you. And kokumi is umami with fat. So the way the Japanese describe it, if you do a shiitake braised oxtail, that fat on the oxtail or short rib, when you eat that, and it's really depth and flavor from the dry shiitakes and the tamari, but then the fat coats you, and that lingers even longer, that's kokumi. Maybe next year there'll be a 7th. I don't know of it yet, but maybe. All right, guys, so we're pretty much ready to go here. So we're gonna turn a wok on high. In centigrade, 210. All right, if you want a nice hot wok, you can't really start a stir fry if the wok's not hot. And I think for a lot of recipes and cookbooks, if you don't have a high enough flame, do half of your veg, set it aside, then do the other half. If it's like a chicken or beef stir fry, you're supposed to do the protein first and set it aside, and then you do the veg and you add it back. Just don't, if you fill the whole wok, you're gonna lose it. Now you're not stir frying, now you're just braising. It'll still taste good, right? Because you have all these great flavors, but that crispy veg that's great in a stir fry that still has a little texture and crunch, you lose it when you put too much in the wok, right? So for me, I really want to get this wok screeching hot. Where's my oil? And the best way to tell, I am a big fan of grapeseed oil these days, right? Grapeseed oil, of course, is nut-free, but it has a nice nutty flavor. It has a very high smoking temperature like canola and avocado. The downside is it's definitely more expensive. Like to fill fryers at restaurants with grapeseed, you know, you're Thomas Keller, you're not me. But when I add a little bit of oil, you want to see if the oil, see how the oil's moving around by itself? That means the wok is actually hot enough, right? And then you see a little bit of smoke. So we're going to add a tablespoon of oil, right? If the wok is too hot, if I add my garlic and ginger and it's smoking, it's going to burn. So one trick is I'm going to take a little bit of this veg just to chill it out, because if I added all this garlic ginger directly, I would have burned it, right? So I wanted to kind of chill the wok just a second and then get the garlic ginger in there, right? Right? You can kind of hear it. If I added all that veg in right now, it would just die, right? I mean, these induction burners are pretty darn good. They're not quite a wok burner with 60,000 BTUs and the flames coming up on the side. But as long as you still hear the sizzle, you're okay, all right? But don't rush this, right? Because you have to cook the garlic and ginger through. Raw garlic, raw ginger, way too strong, right? So we're gonna let that come together. Let me finish prepping these scallions. Any food questions? Yell it out if you got some. Okay, students, you guys all right? So, scallions, you may know, are green and white. The white part is much stronger in flavor. So I like to take the white part of the scallions and cook it, and I like to keep the green part for garnish. So here's the light green. This is still pretty strong. We're going to go all the way to the green. So here, I'm going to cook. In Japan, we cut a whole bunch of scallions, super thinly sliced, and they would actually rinse and rinse and rinse the green scallions. So when you get scallions on top of a nigiri, sometimes in Japan or sashimi, they're not very oniony. They've been rinsed, but they still have the texture and a hint of scallion. So we don't do that in Chinese cuisine, but because Chinese cuisine is just not as delicate, right? All right. Excuse me. Okay. See a little color got on the zucchini? Now I can add a little bit more veg. Like that. Excuse me. I probably won't need all of it. Okay, so this is 16 minutes in an air fryer, guys, right? They get super crunchy, they're super hot, and they cook hot on both sides. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these aside for now. That's it, 16 minutes. Okay, so that's a good amount of veg. We have our noodles. Again, rice noodles are gluten-free. But you can't eat all the rice noodles you want, right? Rice noodles, rice, unfortunately, are all carbs. Carbs, as you know, turn into sugar. Sugar really is, I think, the biggest problem we have. You see these kids drink a big gulp of a soda. That's like 700 times the USDA of sugar you should be drinking. Of course, the sugar lobbyists have paid enough money, there's never the percentage. Because if the can of whatever soda said 700 times your USDA recommended it out, no one would drink that can. But without getting into politics, you can change the story, which is kind of sad. All right, all we're gonna do is reheating the noodles. Remember our stir fry sauce, right? Honey, tamari, sambal. Never dump everything in at once because you can't take it out, right? So mix this up and then give it a try, right? I'm gonna see how this did. You have to try your food all the time. If there's anything I coach and teach my crew is every layer, every time you go, you gotta season and then you gotta try. This instance, by the way, I didn't add salt and pepper yet because I knew the tamari obviously has a good saline quality to it. But every now and then I'll still add salt even though I add soy because it's a different type of sodium, right? And when you try something, you don't really have to try the noodles and the veg. You just have to try everything that sticks to the spoon. And if that stuff is seasoned, your whole dish is seasoned. If this comes out and tastes like nothing, then you do need to add stuff. So that's pretty good. Like I said, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper, and I like this because I want it spicier, so I'm gonna add 3 more. All right. All right, so this dish is done. Super simple. What I do like about it is any veg in the market you can do this with. Maybe not tomatoes, because tomatoes have so much water. Watercress, spinach, arugula, kale. Any of that, if I had shredded spinach or kale or watercress, I would add it right now at the very end. Because you don't need to cook the leafy vegetables very much, right? Get your noodles hot. So we're gonna do this in Chinese style plating. If this was meat, which is all the starch on the bottom, and then all the goodies up top. And for us, goodies is veg. And I like this dish a lot because the ratio of veg to carb is very high, right? I want to have a lot of great veg, okay? And then last but not least, if you don't have sesame allergy, I love toasted sesame seeds. Just a little bit. Don't forget our scallion greens that aren't too strong, right? And a trick we use quite often in Chinese restaurants, it's just a little drizzle of sesame oil. I've been in some really fine dining restaurants and they'll use sesame oil like olive oil, like on carpaccio, and they'll put like a tablespoon, and all you taste for the rest of your meal is sesame oil, right? Because sesame oil is so strong. In Chinese cuisine, we'll have like 6 pots of chicken broth. We'll add a tablespoon of sesame oil, just for the nuanced background flavor. So same thing here. All right, so here's our first dish. I don't know if anyone gets to eat it. Can you guys see this? All right, so there's a stir-fry dish, guys. Super easy. Let's get to MingsBings. Culinary questions, anyone? Yell it out, guys, if you have it. What bad rap has grapeseed gotten? I've not heard that. I mean, I think a lot of oils are made the same way. It's some type of seed that's crushed, right? Olives, grapeseed, rapeseed is, you know. Canola's always gotten a really bad rap. I'm actually not sure why, because I do like canola oil. It has no flavor and a high smoking temperature. And it's inexpensive for like fryers and stuff. Sesame oil, for example, you can't fry anything with, it's too strong, right? And extra virgin olive oil is fantastic for drizzling, making vinaigrettes. But when you try frying it, once the fryer hits like 320, it starts smoking like crazy. So olive oil is really not good for that. So I've not heard about grapeseed, but I will look at that. I think that's interesting. Avocado oil, soy oil, peanut oil is fantastic, but I've done so much work on food allergies. Like my restaurant in Big Sky is completely nut-free, peanut-free. And that's just easier because there's, you know, it's life-threatening food allergies and you don't need to worry about that if you can at least take nuts and peanuts off here, right? And we use a ton of pepitas and sunflower seeds, so we can get the same, we can make pestos, right? We can still get the same type of nuttiness from other things that are not tree nuts and that are not peanuts. But yeah, I mean, I do like, I don't use a lot of corn oil. I would say more grapeseed, avocado oil we use. Avocado has a very high smoking temp. Okay, so the MingsBings, guys. I might as well show you how we make. Who's been to an In-N-Out, right? If you go to an In-N-Out, you get a double animal style, right? It's the only reason to go to In-N-Out. And that's their burger that has their own like Thousand Island dressing. It's got onions, it's got a bun, of course. Their French fries are horrible, by the way. I mean, In-N-Out French fries is just disastrous, and they make them there. It's amazing. You had a question? You love my shirt? Okay, sure. Oh, no. Afterwards. Thank you. It's obvious what this shirt is advertising. Okay, guys. Because of MingsBings is not only gluten-free and not only plant-based, they're actually vegan, right? So to make my sauce, to keep on the vegan theme, there are actually some really good vegan mayonnaise you can buy, right? So Hellmann's, again, I don't work for them, make an awesome vegan mayonnaise. This is going to be one of the easiest recipes I've ever made. Vegan mayonnaise. Heinz ketchup. Which, by the way, is the best ketchup made in the world. It is. And I would love to work with you, Heinz ketchup. Right? Then, right? Banana peppers. I'm going to take a couple of these out. For those that have had these, a little spice, not crazy. Nice and tart though, gives a good crunch. So those we're just going to chop up. So this is kind of how you make a Thousand Island dressing, right? I didn't create that, or a Russian dressing as well. Sometimes people put onions, sometimes people put scallions. I decided to just add these banana peppers for a little heat, but a lot of acid. Little pepper, little salt. So we call this 8,000 Island Dipper. So this is the best dip to dip your MingsBings in. And the reason we call it 8,000 Island is Christine, my chef, is from the Philippines. And if you've ever been to the Philippines, they are known for their islands. They have like 7,983 islands. Not a great name for a label. So we went with 8,000 Island. And we can also say it's 8 times better than 1,000 Island, right? So we have our 8,000 Island Dipper. We're gonna use our bun, which is gonna be this lettuce, right? So what I wanna have is like 2 nice pieces of lettuce that will be the top and bottom of my bing, all right? So I have this bottom there. We can have this top here. All right? Because I like eating things with my hands, right? So what we're gonna do is take a little bit of our 8,000, a cheeseburger bing, nice and hot, a little more 8,000, crispy shallots. These are awesome. You can buy them in an Asian store. Sometimes they're made with rice flour, sometimes they're made with wheat flour, so check the label, right? And I think one of the best pickles in the country that happen to be local is griot pickles, right? I love griot pickles. So a couple of those on top. They have a little garlic flavor to them, right? A little more 8,000. And then we cover it. All right? So this is a cheeseburger bing. And to present it, we like to take it, cut it in half. So this is how we like to present. Actually, what can you see? I guess you can see it here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll put it here, maybe. All right, so that is a cheeseburger bing. Super easy. Who's had a bing here before? Anyone? Yeah? Any good? You love them? Awesome. You're the only person that's had a bing? You've had a bing, sir? You like them? Awesome. Good. Well, my chef is here. We have a bunch of bings for you to try that we're going to do that for you.
Chef, can you tell us how
Sure.
you came up with the idea to get involved in MingsBings? It's a really inspirational
Great
story.
Hey, can someone grab me water?
Yes.
Please. So MingsBings, I can, we started the company in February. COVID started in March, right? So you heard the expression, you either froze or rose during COVID. And I have so much energy. When the restaurant world and the world closed down to COVID, I had this idea to do MingsBings. And it started with actually a health scare that my wife had 5 years ago. And fortunately, we're in Boston. We have some of the best hospitals in the world, including Dana-Farber. That cured her. But one of our decisions we made collectively, is she should go vegan. Why? From all the research, she was already a pescatarian, so it was not that hard. She didn't eat red meat and pork already. Inflammation is one of the worst things for cancer. Inflammation is one of the worst things for your body. If your body is inflamed, so many more diseases can happen, right? So you'll try to want to reduce inflammation. Hence, a gluten-free brown rice wrapper. Inflammation also occurs in all proteins, not just steak and lamb. Pork, chicken, salmon, all fish, shrimp, they all are also inflammatory. Vegetables, on the other side of the coin, have no inflammation whatsoever. So we determined that if you go vegan and then we do the regime that we got from Dana-Farber, this could really help your recovery. She's 5 years in now. She's cancer-free, knock on wood, right? And I do think, honestly, part of it is her diet. And so MingsBings were created because 5 years ago, I would go to the grocery stores, all the big ones you know here, And in the frozen patty section, there's Praeger's, Boca's, Gardine's. They're all these hockey puck things that are emulsified chickpeas or soybeans. They're hard, they're dry, they're not edible. You got to put lettuce and tomato and mayonnaise in a bun to choke them down. I'm like, I'm going to redefine the veggie patty market. I want to chef up a veggie patty, and the only way to really do it is flip the paradigm, put the emulsification on the outside. So I created this brown rice gluten-free wrapper, and then find the best plant-based protein out there. I did a blind taste test with my team. We had Impossible, Beyond, Before the Butcher, Planterra, all of them. Actually, after the first 5, the other 10 were horrible, like not edible. Actually looked like dog food, tastes like dog food. I'm not a dog. I love dogs, but I don't like eating dog food. And the one that won hands down was Before the Butcher. They make an awesome beef, an awesome sausage. We're the official Bing of the Boston Red Sox. We sell a lot of our sausage and pepper Bings, right? And by the 7th inning, we don't tell them it's plant-based because they're 3 $12 Budweisers in. We let them eat it. After they eat it, says that's plant-based. And they're like, I hate plant-based. I'm like, dude, you just ate 2 of them. So you don't hate plant-based. So that's how we convert some people. I think the Hare Krishnas do that too sometimes. Anyway, so we decided to create a whole line of veggie pockets or Bings, not just for my mom, not just for my wife, but for other people that just want to be able to eat deliciousness conveniently and not have to think about how can I do it. And look, and these are $50 a pop, that's also not going to work, right? These are $6 or $7 for 2 Bings. So again, affordable, convenient, but more importantly, really nutritious. The cheeseburger Bing is half the calories, half the fat, half the sodium of a regular cheeseburger, and of course, 0 cholesterol and no gluten. So, one of my ultimate goals one day, if this can get into a McDonald's or Burger King, we've made it. Because obesity, bluntly, in this country, is really caused by poverty. If you're a single mom or single dad, you have $20, you don't know how to cook, you're going to McDonald's. And thank God there's McDonald's, actually, right? They provide sustenance and their kids can eat, but there's literally nothing besides those salads with a mandarin orange on it that you would eat. And no kid wants to eat a salad with a mandarin orange on it as dinner when they've already eaten 5 cheeseburgers or 5 Big Macs in their life. So this is, I don't want to say the gateway, but this is a way to have someone try it that I've never heard anyone say, thank God, like, oh, this tastes like health food. If someone said that, then I blew it. We don't want it to taste like health food. So that was the creation. Our motto is eat good, feel good, do good. Eat good, because, well, it has to be delicious. I'm an Iron Chef, right? Feel good. You feel a little bit better in your body if you're eating plant-based. I always feel better the next morning, not eating a big steak. You also feel a little better in your head, knowing that it's better for the environment, right? Millions of gallons less used when you're eating plants, not beef. And then do good. Some proceeds of every sale of MingsBings benefit both Dana-Farber, again, the hospital saved my wife's life, and an awesome charity called Family Reach. I encourage you to go to familyreach.org. We're the only national charity that financially helps families dealing with cancer. The #1 cause of personal bankruptcy in this country today is a cancer diagnosis, which is crazy. This isn't about healthcare. Thank God we have healthcare for almost everyone. Your income is halved if someone in your family gets cancer. If the mom or dad get cancer, well, that person's not working. Worse is when your kids get cancer, that mom, usually the more nurturing, will have to stop her job to take the 3, 4, 5-year-old to the therapy, to treatment, to chemo. You can't send a kid on Uber, right? They're already immunocompromised. And I'll tell you the quick story. I'm asked why I'm so deeply involved. I'm so proudly I've raised $11 million for Family Reach over the last 10 years through Cooking Live events. And the reason I'm so ingrained in Family Reach is I met this single mom, Michaela, with son Michaela. Raquel's a single mom. When Michaela was born, at 3 months old, he had cancer. Single mom. They got through it. She used all her savings, but she got through it. A year later, cancer came back, and when cancer comes back for a child, it's always 3, 4 times worse. This time, she had no money left. They lived in a homeless shelter for 2 years while Michaela's getting chemo and radiation. I mean, just imagine that. I've never lived in a homeless shelter. Hopefully none of you have, but I've certainly never lived in a homeless shelter with chemo and radiation. Then the oncologist told Raquel, your son needs a bone marrow transplant to live. But unfortunately, because of the sanitary conditions in the homeless shelter, we cannot administer, it won't stick. Sorry. You can't tell a mom, sorry, your son's gonna die when there's a cure. That's just, you can't. So that's when Family Reach stepped in, said, baloney, here is your apartment back for a year. You take care of Michaela. We got your lodging. And I see this kid, he's 15. Every year I see him, he gives me a huge hug. That's why we do what we do, right? And it's all through a plate of food, right? Food is your sustenance. Food can make you happy. Food can really bring people together. And, I'm not trying to preach here, but if we really sat down at the dinner table more often than we all do, with your kids even, not going to ballet practice, soccer practice, actually together, I think conversations can happen. And right, everyone reads the news, what's going on in this country. We're not in balance. I think we just need to, especially we're so divisive, right? I don't care what side of the wall you're on. We got to come to the middle. We have to at least listen to the other side. If you just put your hands up now and they put their hands up, it's never going to get solved and it will get worse. Bless you, and bless you. And I think food is the conduit. I think food can bring people together, especially good food, right? If you serve bad food, they may take off. But think about that. I tried my damnedest with my kids to get a meal with them once. Now they're 23 and 20 and they're in college, so it's a little harder. But when they were younger, Blue Ginger, I would go back. I would do the line, taste the line in between 5 and 6 when it wasn't busy. Go make dinner, see the kids, find out what's going on. Right? You have to talk. I think this, unfortunately, is our demise. Right? Like no cell phones at the dinner table, things like that. Right? Again, I'm just a cook. But I do think food can be a great way to bring people together, to discuss the stuff's going on in this world, because if we don't discuss it and bury it, it's still there, right? It's still there. And, but I just came back from Taiwan 2 days ago. This is still the best country in the world to live in, right? We're all Americans, and I'm so proud to be an American. And I just think we're in a position that we just need to really think of each other and be kind. I think if everyone does that and just steps back a little bit and just loosens up a little bit to let other people in, I think it's going to be better. And again, do it through food. Questions? Are you ready, CC? So CC and Sylvie are going to serve you little samples for those that want. They're $40 a piece. No, I'm kidding. I got it. My kids are in college, right? Sir, question. They are. So we actually have 9 different flavors. So we're all over New England, right? Roach Brothers, Whole Foods, Dave's Market, Market Basket, Wegmans. They all have 2 or 3 flavors. Food service, right, through DOT or Cisco, US Foods, you can get. So you own a restaurant? Yep, so you can get through that way. We can give us your information, and we can get Mark Murphy, our director of ops, to call you. Not the Mark. Who is that? Rob Prunier. Rob will call you. We're very lucky. Schools are starting to buy these. The younger generation do want to help save the planet, do want to eat plant-based, and not vegan, right? There's really only 1% vegan in this country. And my goal is not to convert any of you to veganism. I'm not a vegan either. I just think if you eat vegetables a little bit more often, I mean, look, Asian cuisine is 70% plant-based anyway, by design, and a little bit of meat to flavor it. That's how we've always eaten. So a bone-in ribeye in China could feed 10 people deliciously, because it's 80% veg, and it really would be just as good as if you ate it yourself. But I think schools love them. We have breakfast bings made from made from Just Egg, which is a mung bean product. It's a scrambled egg. We have potato and cheese and sausage. It's also quite good. So yes, great question though. Anyone else? So, what would I drink with this? This dish, even though it's just vegetables, has a good umami-ness to it. It has a good spice and sweet, right? So this is not just a ramen noodles with just salt, right? Because there's spice and sweet, I would absolutely go white, and I would absolutely go towards a Riesling and a Gewürztraminer. Off-dry, meaning just a little bit of residual sweetness, because spice and a wine that has a little touch of sweetness is fantastic. If you drink a red wine with spice, the tannin of that red wine is going to taste even more tannic. It's not going to be a great match. So think about a white, a Riesling or a Gewürz would go awesome. And of course, always a champagne. I would do a rosé champagne. Champagne goes with everything. Champagne goes with breakfast, right? I mean, you can't do no wrong with champagne. MingsBings, iced tea, beer, glass of your favorite wine. everything goes well. It's got a good crunch to it. Anything that has a crunch and a satiation, which means it has a little fat, not a ton of fat, but a little fat, again, something high acidic to cut through that. Even though this is a cheeseburger, but it's made from plants, I would go towards the New World Sauvignon Blancs. I would go to Australia, or New Zealand, or South Africa for a super bright. Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Please here, Ming.
There we go. Like I said, this is a South African, New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. Just out of the bottle. Thanks, Gar. No. But this is a great match, right? High acid, like a classic South African, gooseberry, passion fruit, even pineapple. I mean, literally the best. And like, it's summertime now, rosé all day, right? Up until whatever, September 5 or something, and Sauv Blanc, right? Ice cold. And God, it's not sacrilege to drink it on ice, right? I mean, I'm not gonna take a $100 bottle, no, but if I take a $20 bottle and it's not cold, throw it on ice, that's okay. It's not, just don't leave it there and let it dilute. Wines this bright and this acidic need to be drunk super ice cold, in my opinion. So, what else, anyone? What is the packaging? Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm getting the gist of your question. I mean, going into food production for CPG is so much different than opening a restaurant. And part of me is like, oh, it's going to be so much easier opening a CPG company than a restaurant, especially during COVID. You don't have any cooks and this and that. You have similar amount of problems, they're just different problems. Our first biggest problem was supply chain, right? We couldn't get anything, right? Because supply chain was shut down. Then once COVID eased up, and then our second problem became labor. To make the bings is a handmade process, right? So we had 14, actually, they're all Asian ladies at this factory down in Pembroke, and they would make the bings. And they're great, but they're $20 an hour, and they call in sick and not all have a great attitude. They're called humans, right? And I love humans. I married one, I am one. Having said that, to get ahead in CPG, you need to automate, which is why I was just in Taiwan. There's a great company called Anko, A-N-K-O. They make the Olympia machine that makes the wrapper. We developed a gluten-free wrapper with brown rice. And then we have this machine called the flipper. And fortunately, I do have a mechanical engineering background, so we thought about how we can do this. And this machine actually brings in the left side, the right side, rolls it over, punches it down, and makes a bing. So now we can make, full capacity, we can make 1,900 bings an hour out of this machine. And as long as you guys go to these stores every day and buy my bings, we're going to be great. And if you don't, we're going to be not great. And look, and thank God, unlike a perfect robot, the machine's not perfect. So in a way, it's kind of cool. Every bing's a little bit different. It's like a snowflake. They're about the same thing, but they're not like LaCroix egg rolls that look exactly the same because it's out of a machine that kind of extrudes them. So this emulates hand motion, just with paddles and pneumatics. But hopefully, these machines will work all the time and never break down and all that stuff because, you're only as good as your chef, and then now you're only as good as your machine. Because if the machine breaks down, you can't just jump in and start working it. So, you can get MingsBings. In Boston, again, we're in almost every major grocery store. So Roach Brothers, Dave's Market, Market Basket, Wegmans, Stop and Shop. So basically, name another grocery store, I'll tell you yeah or nay. Whole Foods and 20 Whole Foods, like Ink Block and Wellesley, Whole Foods. Big Y, we're in Big Y as well. We're down south in Publix. We're down west with Sprouts. We have H-E-B in Texas. And if you want to get the line of bings and try them all, go to MingsBings.com. We'll deliver anywhere in the country. And that's where you can get, breakfast bings are just starting. So they're not that prevalent yet, but they will be. And Costco, I hope one day. Costco's like the holy grail, right? They want me to jump, I say how high. And we are starting conversations with Costco, which is just like, you're going into the mausoleum. What are the 9 flavors? So we have cheeseburger, fiesta, which is a chorizo with frijoles, which is black beans and corn. We have a buffalo cauliflower. This is the 8 original veg, which has spinach and watercress and shiitake mushrooms. Probably my favorite. It's by far the hardest to make and most expensive to make because it's 8 real vegetables. And we have a sausage and pepper. So those are the 5 savory. And we have 4 breakfast things, all with potato. It's egg and cheese, sausage, egg and cheese, chorizo, egg and cheese, and veggie egg and cheese. So we have those 9. We also have something called dim sum dippers. Do we have any dippers? So online for now, you can buy these bottles called dippers. We have 4 different flavors. One is the 8,000 that I just made. We have a dim sum dipper with sambal and soy and tamari and vinegar. We have a mustard that goes with the sausage and pepper, and we have a sweet chili that's half as sweet as a regular sweet chili you would buy. I love sweet chili sauce for chicken. It's a Thai sauce, but it's so cloyingly sweet. So we made one with a lot more vinegar, a lot less sugar. And so yeah, so you go there. All right. How long am I going? 45 or an hour? An hour? All right. These 2 rabbis walked into. No, okay, no. What else, guys? Give me another. Okay, so we have samples. My team's going to start handing you samples, guys. As I always say, I hope you enjoy them. If you don't like them, that's okay. Not everyone has taste. I don't know how you brought up. Your parents might have been really bad cooks, right? Like Ken Oranger, my best chef friend, he learned how to cook because his parents were horrible cooks. He's like, I can't eat this. I got to learn how to cook. I mean, we're talking when he's 13. He just started going in there and making better food than his parents that were just really bad. That was not my story. Both my parents were incredible cooks. And that inspired me because I was just a kid that always wanted to eat, and I would always be in the kitchen. The sound, the smell, and my grandfather, mother, or grandmother would always pass me a little nugget. And I loved that. It was one of the best. So you're going to get a mini version, guys. You're going to have a little piece of the lettuce, a little of the 8,000, a little bit of crispy shallot. If you are gluten-free, let them know, because the shallots we're using do have gluten. So if you're gluten-free, just let these people know we'll do it without the crispy shallots. And kind of eat it like a lettuce cup, right? Just pop it in. If you don't have an air fryer, I say get one, because I think they're awesome. But don't despair. Any convection oven at home, 425 on convection high, a cold sheet tray, never parchment. You want the oil to come out of the Bing and then get it crisp. You have to flip it 1 time in the oven. The air fryer, it's circular, you don't have to flip it. An oven, it's 20 minutes right now, so about minute 12, you give it 1 flip, and it'll finish cooking. And let them rest for a good 3 to 4 minutes, because they get really screeching hot, almost like a piece of meat. You want it to rest for a little bit to spread the temperature, if you would. But you should really like them. I think the secret sauce is the wrapper, that it's a crispy, gluten-free wrapper. For those that have ever eaten gluten-free breads and pastries, they're tough. They're tough to get crispy because there's no gluten, hence gluten-free, right? And look, and you can have Thomas Keller, all of his chefs are trying to develop a better gluten-free product. And it's just physically hard without gluten to produce stuff that tastes like gluten.
Hey, so Ashley's passing them out, right? But if you come up here and you click on the code, you get a free box from Ming, just so you know.
Oh, yeah, right there, guys. This code, scan this QR code, you will get a free box of MingsBings at any of these stores I just mentioned. So if you do go to MingsBings.com, there's a Bing Finder, kind of cute. The Bing Finder will tell you the closest store to where you live. So I will say Merry Christmas. It's a little early, but I don't know what a holiday between now and Christmas. If you like it, just say, I like it. If you don't like it, please go to the next demo. But they're surprisingly good, I would hope people think, right? I mean, half the time we don't want to tell people it's plant-based, like at Fenway, because like, oh no, I don't do plant-based. Immediately, most of the men, of course these men also have 2 cans of passion fruit Truly. I'm like, really dude? You don't do plant-based, but you eat passion fruit Truly? Right? These big brawny men at the Bruins game. I laugh at them. And I say, just try it. And I give it to them. It's free. Try it. And they try it. Then they're like, oh my God, I do like it. So that's the plan. We like to delight and surprise is the idea. Are we good? You trying to kick me?
Gentlemen, give it up for Chef Ming Tsai.
Thank you all.
Also, it smells fantastic up here.
That's because I just showered.